The rain against the window of the safe house was relentless, a rhythmic drumming that matched the anxious beat of Detective Lena Vance's heart. The safe house was a sterile, dusty apartment in the moody part of the city, chosen specifically because it didn't exist on paper. Neither did the woman sitting on the worn velvet sofa across the room. Elena Elle Rostova, suspect prime in the Diamond Syndicate case Lena had been building for 6 months. Lena was supposed to be breaking her, finding the crack in the armor where the location of the stolen uncut gems was hidden. Instead, Lena was the one fracturing. "Stop pacing, Detective," Elle said, her voice a low, smoky hum that seemed to vibrate through the floorboards. "You'll wear a hole in the cheap linoleum." Lena stopped, turning sharply. She was still in her uniform, though the tie was loosened and her badge felt heavy on her hip. "I'm not pacing, I'm thinking." "You're spiraling," corrected Elle, a faint, knowing smirk playing on her lips. She leaned back, unbothered by the gravity of her situation. She was beautiful in a dangerous, sharp-edged way, dark eyes that saw too much and hands that could pick a lock in 10 seconds flat. "You're spiraling because you're wondering how you're going to explain this report. You're wondering why you haven't called it in yet." Lena walked over, placing her hands on the back of the chair opposite the sofa. "I haven't called it in because I know you're the only one who can lead me to the buyer. If I book you now, the lawyers seal you up and the trail goes cold." "Is that the only reason?" Elle challenged, her gaze dropping to Lena's hands, then moving slowly up to her eyes. The air in the room grew thick, charged with the static electricity of things unsaid. This cat-and-mouse game had been going on for weeks, stolen glances in crowded holding cells, interrogations that strayed too far into the personal, the electric jolt when Lena had slapped the cuffs on her 2 nights ago. "I need answers, Elle," Lena said, her voice betraying a tremor she hated. Elle stood up. She moved with a feline grace, closing the distance between them.
"I know what you're doing, Detective."
Lena should have stepped back. Protocol demanded she maintain a reactionary gap, but her feet felt rooted to the floor. "Whisper," Elle said, stopping just inches away. She smelled of rain and expensive vanilla. "Ask me what you really want to know." "Where are the stones?" Lena asked, but it was a weak defense. "Forget the stones." Elle reached out, her fingers trailing ghost-like down the rigid line of Lena's uniform sleeve. "Ask me why I didn't run when I saw your squad car. Ask me why I let you bring me here." Lena's breath hitched. The professional boundary, already eroded, crumbled into dust. "Why?" "Because," Elle murmured, stepping into Lena's personal space, her hand rising to cup the detective's jaw. "Because I wanted to see if you were brave enough to do this." Elle kissed her. It wasn't a tentative, questioning kiss. It was a collision. It tasted of danger and inevitable regret. Lena froze for a heartbeat, her mind screaming the list of regulations she was violating, but her body had its own agenda. She made a noise low in her throat and grabbed the lapels of Elle's jacket, pulling her closer. The kiss deepened, becoming desperate. Lena backed Elle up until her legs hit the edge of the sofa, and they tumbled onto it together. The friction of the moment was intoxicating, the rough wool of the uniform against Elle's silk shirt, the cold metal of Lena's belt buckle pressing between them. "Lena," Elle gasped against her mouth, using her first name for the first time. It sounded like a prayer and a curse. Lena straddled her, the power dynamic shifting wildly. She wasn't the cop anymore. She was just a woman starving for the one thing she couldn't have. Her hands found the hem of Elle's shirt, skin meeting skin, hot and feverish. "This destroys the case," Lena whispered, burying her face in the curve of Elle's neck, biting lightly at the sensitive cord of muscle there. "Then destroy it," Elle urged, her hands tangling in Lena's hair, pulling her head back to kiss her again, harder. Lena let go. She let go of the case, the badge, the rules. She moved with an urgency that bordered on violence, shedding the uniform jacket, the constraints of her life. When their bodies finally pressed together without barriers, it was a shock of heat that made Lena gasp. The intimacy that followed was a blur of sensation. It was the desperate friction of limbs, the arch of a back, the sound of ragged breathing filling the small, silent room. It was the feeling of Elle's night nails digging at Lena's shoulders, grounding her as the world spun away. They moved together in a rhythm dictated by months of suppressed tension. Every touch was a confession. Lena's hands explored the curves of the woman she was sworn to arrest, memorizing the texture of her skin, the way Elle's breath caught when Lena's hand moved lower, finding the heat between her thighs. It wasn't gentle. It couldn't be. It was the frantic connection of 2 people on opposite sides of a war, stealing a moment of peace in the crossfire. The physical act, the slide of skin, the wet heat, the friction was an exorcism of the frustration they both had been carrying. When the crest finally came, it left them both shattered. Lena collapsed against Elle's chest, her heart hammering against her ribs like a trapped bird. The room was quiet again, save for the rain and their synchronized heavy breathing. For a long time, neither of them spoke. Lena lay there, the weight of reality slowly settling back onto her shoulders. She was lying in the arms of a felon. She had compromised everything. Elle's hand came up, stroking Lena's hair with a surprising tenderness. "You know," she whispered, her voice rough, "I still haven't told you where the diamonds are." Lena closed her eyes, turning her face into Elle's palm. The line had been crossed, the badge was tarnished, but as she felt the steady beat of Elle's heart beneath her, Lena realized she didn't care about the diamonds anymore. "I know," Lena whispered back. "We have until morning to figure that out."